Hello, everybody. John Murphy here on the Homefront. Very happy to share some time with you live on the radio. Maybe you're watching us on YouTube. Our program this week is going to be heavily focused on the arts in our community. For the second half, we're going to have an update from the Connecticut Arts Alliance. Then we're going to have another artist interview with Patti Weiss. You may recall about a month and a half or so ago, her partner Bob Bralove, they put out a wonderful record called Acoustic Conversations. They were wonderful improvisations. I talked to Bob about a month and a half ago. We'll talk to Patti to close the show today. And also want to mention, if you want to get involved here, the studio doors are always open. Just use email to make a connection, and we'll have you here as soon as possible. It's john@humanartsmedia.com. So sitting next to me now is a compañero of mine, Oswaldo Tirano. I've had him on the program several times over the years. It's great to have you back in the house, Oswaldo.
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Good to be here. Also, we have Aida Tirano with us. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much for having us, John.
Now, the theme for our segment is Latin dance, and it's many ways that dance is for our community to enjoy. It connects to students and cultural organizations. So we're going to start out with the series that they're doing now at the River Room here in Willimantic, just behind the street here. And also they're working in the Wyndham schools. So thank you for your good work for so many years to help keep dance alive and to give people a chance to connect to this culture. So let's talk about the River Room now and how that's going. You just started a series there, and that's such an exciting new venue. I'm sure it's been exciting for you to have a great space like that.
Exactly. We are grateful and to be here in the River Room.
Yeah.
As you know, last year they did the grand opening.
They did.
And we started, we did a first session for 6 weeks before summer. And it was wonderful to have lots of people. I also have like people from younger ages to older. And at the end, we have this concert. It's a Latin Jazz Award who came over. We were able to dance with the music. So we really enjoyed a lot that time. And the goal is to keep going, to keep doing the classes for another 6 weeks. And then we will go into around another 6-week session.
That's right. The next schedule begins on August 27th. It's Wednesdays, 6 to 9 p.m. So, Aida, tell me, the River Room is a new space, and I've seen a lot of music there, and it's wonderful for music. What's it like for you as a dancer in that space? What's the vibe like for you when you're working in the room? It's so small and intimate in a way. People are close, but there's still room to move around. How was it for you to begin there?
So I think that this is a great place for the community because it's close, I think, for everybody. And we have a nice space when people can gather and they can listen to music, and also they can learn new skills of dance.
Yeah. So, Oswaldo, you wanted to share a story because he's been here in our community 26 years is a lot of time. And you're smiling already about this story. Share some of the roots of what brought you to this place here and to do dance as a service the way you do.
Sure. Yeah. One of my first jobs here in the U.S. was at the Willimantic Food Co-op. And, I was trying to learn more English.
Yes.
I was also trying to set a base in terms of a community.
Yeah.
Then over there, we had a wonderful group of people who started asking for lessons because I was putting the fruit, I was putting the vegetables, and we put some music and started doing some, Latin moves. Yep. And they say, "Wow, what is that?"
Oh, yeah.
And then I said, "Well, this is merengue." And then they kept asking. So they said, "Why don't you set up a class?" At the time, Arts in Motion, which they used to be in Mansfield, they came to Willimantic, and that was in South Park Street. And they said, "We're looking for new dancers. We're looking for new instruction, and Latin dance will be just wonderful." So it came all together. Because one of the things that I really, really appreciate in the Eastern Connecticut is the community.
Yeah.
They make things to happen, and they see when, something can be alive there's like some skills around,
Right.
and they support it. So we
Yeah.
set up a group. I remember it was like about 15 people, and I started teaching the class. As you know, my roots are like in my culture. So since I was a baby, I was dancing
Emotion.
with my aunt, with my mom, and my cousins. So it's like a heritage skill. And then I went to the university, the National University in Colombia, and I obviously took lessons, formal lessons,
Yeah.
in both in puppetry and dance.
So one question I had too is, I should confess that as Rita and I have taken lessons and we survived, we actually survived them.
No.
And we're trying to come back because it's a wonderful space. This is when you were teaching in the Hurley building.
Exactly, yeah.
Years ago, there was very nice stuff just across the street here in the Hurley building.
You didn't survive. You were doing a great job, both of you.
Okay, well, it was fun.
You know, Rita with the samba
Oh my
five.
God! Yeah, the samba. How can you move in 4 directions at one time? Unbelievable. But I guess my question was for people who are starting out. Some dances are more complex than others.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. But how do you mix the different styles with people coming in who might be younger or older, experienced or not? How do you have fun mixing it all up that way?
Great question. What I do first is I ask them if they know the music, if they appreciate the music, if they like the music.
It's half the battle.
Because music is so essential in our existence as humans. It's probably one of the things that keeps connected with the universe. And that's how I feel it when we're dancing. You're like not really here.
Yeah.
You get connected, and that connection with
Yeah.
people, with the dance, with your partner, so it's what makes really fun. And I started with the basic, which is merengue from Dominican Republic. We just came back from Dominican Republic and
That's
Puerto
right.
Rico.
Yeah.
And it was so wonderful because we went to these places to dance. And it's so useful. I have to encourage people to dance. We all like to go to places, and we all like to go to other countries.
Yeah.
But when you're there and you have, margarita, you have
yeah.
a little drink, and there's the music, there's this like environment, and you really wanted to move. And if you have some skills, you have a lot of fun. So I start with this rhythm, and then I go over into the bachata, which is also from Dominican Republic, and then I move down with salsa, which is the national dance of Puerto Rico.
Yes. Probably one of the most recognizable here, at least coming from New York in the 70s. That was really key. And then Boogaloo, fixing in funk with Latin rhythms, right? That was another style. But one other part of their work that really is nice for me to share with you is the young connection, not just through dance, but through the high school here. And Aida, maybe you can mention how you're trying to connect the idea of something we talked about before that we went on the air was cultures are trying to deal with continuity, preserving the values. There's modern pop culture, there's a lot of that out there, but the roots are what they're talking about and keeping them healthy. And you found some interest at the high school level, and it was a matter of them getting a chance to see it, right? So,
Yes.
So how was that?
The idea is to keep the dance alive. And so for that reason, we started a dance club in the Wyndham High School 3 years ago to keep the culture alive too. And so the idea was to bring to the students a space where they can show their dance skills, but also learn a new ones, and also learn about a new cultures. So for that reason, so after school, so we started that dance club. And so far we had been in different places, like we had been in another schools in the district, and we were also in the Shabu stage, in the Third Thursday Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And also we are part of the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration in the high school.
That's from mid-September to mid-October, and there's lots of special programs you do during that time, yeah.
Yes, so this school year will be the third edition of this big celebration of the Hispanic Heritage Month in the high school. And so dance is one part of the things that we do, but also so the teachers dance during that celebration, and we offer to the students different activities in the cafeteria, in the classrooms. So the idea is to to keep that culture alive, and also put together all the staff and the students and the families in the community.
I just wanted to add
Yes.
what my wife was saying. Every year there's a theme. So we have like one culture we wanted to highlight that. And the first one was Guatemala.
Okay.
And it was so nice to have them because I used to work in the Wyndham High School. I did it for like about 6 years. I was one of the tutors. And I worked a lot with students from Central America and the Caribbean. And when they are here and they have the opportunity to express, artistically, and be immersed in their language, in their culture, you'll see a different face, like really will open
As I say,
up.
they light up.
Exactly. And so we did it with them, I think that was a plus. And then the following year, we did a concentration in Puerto Rico. And this year, do you want to say?
Yes, so we are going to
Drum roll,
concentrate in Mexico. In Mexico.
Mexico.
Oh,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Very timely. Wow, Mexico it will be. So one thing I want to mention again, in case you've joined us, is that we have guests in the studio today, Oswaldo and Aida Tirano. But the question is, August 27th, it's a Wednesday at 6 o'clock is the next cycle. This is at the River Room. If you go to the website, too, the River Room Willie, you can sign up that way for all the music events. But why don't you talk about how you're using Facebook and Instagram for people to stay in touch during the year?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Because we've been working not just with the dance lessons, but I'm trying to create a dance performance group. So I publish some videos when they are performing, like we did for the Valentine's Day here in the Willimantic Chocolate Fest.
That's right.
At the library. So I published some videos when we did this demonstration. And over there I put in the information on Facebook, which is Grasshopper Arts. Grasshopper is because I'm also a puppeteer, and I came to the U.S. and I was able to be part of the program when I also built the skills on stilting.
You were involved at the Ballard program, right?
Yes, I was.
You've seen this guy 10 feet in the air, totally in control, anti-gravity.
1998.
Yeah.
And then since then, I've been creating many different characters performing on the streets. And that's why the Grasshopper Arts. But also on Instagram, people can see some videos and they can send me a message if you're interested. If you don't have any experience, no problems. You're in good hands with me. 20 plus years of experience.
Yep.
And in 6 weeks, you'll be able to rock and roll.
What do you do? Something that Aida mentioned before is helping people who are shy. They're curious, but they have a class. You have people that are coming to you who want to perform, right? They're looking for a chance to get up there in a group and perform, right? So how do people overcome that shyness and then all of a sudden they realize, like I did too, you're liberated. You're freer than you ever thought you were. How does that translate?
Confidence is something that I always like to build in my students, and is once you get a skill and you practice it, you'll see that over time, your muscles, we call it the muscle memory, you will be able to have it. Like language. If you repeat it, you practice it, it will easier and easier. And when they have this level, because I don't push them to, not like force them to perform, I usually said, we're going to have a process. When you're ready, you can perform, right? So we set like a goal. But also I try to have like 2-3 months in advance so they will be able to feel confident and be in front of people, because I know it's not easy at all to have your friends, your family, seeing your neighbors.
Oh, like any performance, right? Any musician,
right.
Anything like that. But it's got to be nice. I wonder maybe we could close when you're in the room and you see young people and older audiences together. That's not always common these days. How do you feel when that's happening and the generations are there moving around and it doesn't matter at all?
It's wonderful to have a person who is able to dance or be in the class with younger people. And usually it's pretty positive. Most of the time, I don't have any like inconvenience, like you don't want it to be in the room or you don't want it to dance with that
Right.
person.
People are
It's
comfortable.
actually really, people are really open. So, and also I have people from like India, Pakistan, because a lot of people from Yukon and
Oh, yeah.
Eastern, they like to come to my class. They are younger crowd,
Yeah.
but they love the music. They like the moves, so that's why they come in. And yeah, I would say like is an opportunity for people to come together.
Well, that's a great message to close the segment with, too. Remember, the River Room Willimantic is where these events are for the classes. And also, if you go to Grasshopper Arts on Facebook, you can follow them as well. I wish you a great season ahead, and thank you again for the work you do throughout the year for our community. Thank you both.
Thank you so much, John.
Okay.
Again, it's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Have you here. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we will take a short break and come back with the Connecticut Arts Alliance. Don't go away. All righty, we're back live on the Homefront. John Murphy here. Happy you're with us. Once again, the email is john@humanartsmedia. If you have news to share, if you want to come in to share a good story, the studio doors are always open to you. If you're an artist or if you're part of an arts organization, if you like the arts, you need to know about the Connecticut Arts Alliance. It's a statewide organization that's trying to connect the arts community in all of its forms. Right now, they're active with a program for trying to get people registered for the upcoming elections. And I'm very happy to share the microphone today with Rufus De Rham. He's the Interim Executive Director. We had Rufus on about 6 weeks ago, and he has an update for us on some of the news that came out of the last session and some federal funding news as well. So, Rufus, thank you very much for joining us today. We're good to have you with us.
Always a pleasure to join local radio.
That's right. We are keeping it local here in Eastern Connecticut. So maybe a leadoff might be how things are with the NEA and the NEH. I know those are flying around now. There's a lot of concern about federal cuts, and some areas got it worse than others.
Sure. So 2 weeks ago, the House Appropriations Committee proposed a 35% cut to both NEH and NEA budgets. That's reduced each agency's budget to around $135 million. This is counter to the initial Trump administration's proposal to eliminate funding to these agencies. But the community stepped up. We sent letters. And then last week, the Senate Interior Appropriations Subcommittee fully funded at $207 million both NEA and NEH. So this is a good sign, and we expect the House to follow suit. However, we're not out of the woods yet. There's a lot of steps between now and the end of the fiscal year, or the federal fiscal year, where, you know, who knows what's going to happen. If we've been paying attention to any sort of federal things, it's like every week there's a new story. But for now, NEA and NEH funding has largely remained steady. And so we're just asking people to continue to call their senators and call their representatives to tell them how important NEA and NEH funding is to them. Of course, here in Connecticut, our senators and representatives are very supportive of NEA and NEH.
Yeah, we're fortunate that way.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. So that's where we're at the federal level. So the end of the fiscal year for the federal government is September 30th.
Right.
If they can't come to an agreement for the budget, they'll have to pass what's called a continuing resolution to keep the federal funding going at current levels for short term. If they can't do that, we may see a government shutdown, but we don't know enough, and we'll see more closer to September what it's looking like.
Yeah, that's all part of the Shakespearean theatrical drama that's called U.S. Congress right now, the way that it's treating itself and its processes. The thing that upset me the most, people always have to deal with cuts. But when you cut money that was already approved and it went through the meat grinder and got the okay, and then they take it away.
Yeah, that's been the biggest issue for sure.
Right. Trying to keep a sense of humor and respect as well. Speaking of government now, let's focus locally for a second. What was your sense now that things have shaken down, the results of the session that we had, and looking ahead to the next one, what are people's hopes for doing a little better?
Yeah, so we got very close This is the furthest we've ever gotten for our push for increased support to the sector. At least in the almost 8 years I've been doing this, we had 5 bills introduced, 4 had public hearings, 2 made it out of committee, and the community really showed our legislators how important this was. We had over 200 pieces of written testimony submitted. About 20 people took time out of their day to be in person, to give in-person testimony. And it got really, really far. And the fact that we had such bipartisan support at the in the legislature really showed how serious they were taking this. Unfortunately, it didn't go all the way because, as you're aware, Connecticut was really concerned with the impending federal cuts and what that would mean. So they weren't really keen on using revenue to fund specific things. They wanted to sort of keep their options open. However, we did successfully fight back against the governor's proposed 17.5% cut to arts. And so that got restored, and some organizations had increases to their line items, which is primarily how arts are funded in Connecticut.
Right. Some organization gets to a level of functioning where it's recognized, right, as its own entity of sorts?
Yeah, they get direct, basically they get their own line in the budget. It's not ideal, but it does give a certain level of stability for those organizations, and those organizations then rely on those that funding. And so when there was a 17.5% cut proposed, it really impacted a lot of those organizations. We were able to successfully advocate against that. And the other really nice thing that happened this year is our Arts, Culture, and Tourism Advocacy Day at the Capitol. We had a wildly successful day, including a press conference. The governor himself walked through and got to meet some of the organizations that were tabling. And we're looking forward to making that event even bigger and better in the coming years.
Well, I want to mention the website, folks, by the way. We're speaking with Rufus De Rham, the Interim Executive Director of the Connecticut Arts Alliance, and you should jot down the website to keep track of these issues, especially when we get into the local elections, which is a big impact on some of the things Rufus was just talking about. It's ctartsalliance.org. And maybe take a minute or two, Rufus, give us a tour of what's there that people can use to either learn more or get involved.
Sure. There's advocacy toolkits and resources around economic impact of the arts. You can sign up for our newsletter. This is the best way to keep sort of engaged with what's going on, both at the federal and state level.
Right.
And right now, we're sort of helping get the word out for local elections. We have all of our towns are electing new local officials in November, and the primaries are actually September 9th. And we're trying to let people know that if you're interested in voting in the primaries, you have to make sure you're registered by August 22nd. And that local elections are just as, if not more important than national elections to really drive the point home that we need a creative and vibrant economy in the state.
One thing I just want to bring up is that before we got involved at the CAA board level as the ED, when I first joined the Arts Alliance many years ago, Rufus was a director in one of the regional service organizations in the Northwest Corner, which is also similar to ours here, Wyndham Arts, in the Northeast Corner. And this is a kind of a roundabout way to ask the question. If you have any thoughts to share with people in this part of the state where it's spread out, they're often isolated, small towns, maybe a couple of medium-sized towns, but people are really spread out here, like they are in the Northwest where you were. And do you have any thoughts to share for people how they can stay better connected and the value of that when you might feel isolated, but, connecting is the way out?
Yeah, I think it is about finding and getting involved with local organizations. And a great way to do that is your local service organization or arts council, or get on our mailing list. But just go into your downtown and see if your library needs help. And, the evidence overwhelmingly supports that the more involved the community is at a local level, and through volunteering, through meeting at your library or your church or wherever your gathering space is in your town, the healthier your community is going to be. And especially in both Northwest and Northeast, where we have aging populations, that becomes even more crucial to get people in the same space to talk to each other, to have that social interaction. And you're just going to have a much better life when you're really involved in that local community, and support your local radio station and your local media. That really helps keep people informed to what's going on at the local level.
Right, it sure does. It's a lifeline these days, the way things are going. They're so unpredictable. Maybe one last thought while I have you, Rufus, is about membership in the Alliance. I know the organizations get involved. There are individuals here that are more established. They've gone farther down the road of development now. They're not new and they're more established. They can make a real difference to the work of the Alliance. Can you talk about that aspect of membership and how each person can make a big difference?
Sure. We have a membership at both individual and organizational levels.
Right.
And really what that allows us to do is have a lobbyist. And I know that's sort of a dirty word, but unfortunately that's the way the cookie crumbles. And so we're able to afford that lobbyist and pay through our membership contributions. And it helps us make sure that we can get in the right doors and have the right meetings with the right people to affect policy at the state level.
Well, having the lobbyist really is critical because so many people involved in CAA, they're volunteers, they have jobs and families. So for them, this is a way to learn stuff that they would otherwise not know. What happens in that room, right? That's the value.
Yeah, and you don't have to, I want to be clear, you don't have to be a member to get the newsletter. The newsletter is open for everybody, and so even if you're just curious, that's the best way to get involved with us, is just sign up for the newsletter. Right now, because we're not in session, it's every other week. It comes out on Friday, and it's just a way for us to share resources for the community, grant opportunities, and just general advocacy information for the whole sector.
Well, that's a great note to close our chat for today, Rufus. Rufus De Rham, the Interim Executive Director at the Connecticut Arts Alliance. I wish you good success in the year ahead, and thank you very much for the good work you and the Alliance are doing throughout the year.
Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to join you.
Take care now. Be well. And also, I want to mention the website one last time, ctartsalliance.org, and you'll find out all the information. Okay, in a few minutes, we're going to be on the phone with Patti Weiss, a wonderful musician. I've played her music with Bob Braylove in the last couple of months. They have a new release out now. It's called Acoustic Conversations. She's on the West Coast, and we're going to chat with Patti, and we're going to play one tune just to give you an idea. She is on violin. Bob Braylove is on the keyboards. These are primarily improvisations. They touch on many musical traditions that are labeled classical, jazz, lots of interconnections around the world with world rhythms as well. You'll hear it for yourself if you just give Patti a few minutes. She's a phenomenal violin player. The tune we're going to hear is called, it's very appropriate to our area, it's called Riding the Rails. So as the train comes through Willie here at 5:20 every afternoon, think about this tune, Riding the Rails. Okay. Folks living in our part of the state would enjoy the rhythms of that tune, Riding the Rails. It was a composition from Braylove and Patti Weiss. Acoustic Conversations. It came out a few months ago. I spoke to Bob Braylove, and today we have a phone conversation with Patti Weiss. She's on the West Coast. Patti, are you hearing us okay?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's great to have you on the show. I really enjoy the record and the spirit you brought to it. I talked to Bob a lot about the tune you picked from Bill Evans, Peace, Peace, which is one of my favorites.
Yes.
It's one of those tunes that just in a few notes, it stops you cold and takes over.
Right.
And,
yes, I am.
And as I talked to Bob, I really appreciated the depth of the music and what your improvisations were, and that's why I said I really need to bring Patti in on this too, because you're the other side of the yin-yang on this. And the thing that interested me the most is how you're integrating all this great musical background and cultural connection with neuropsychology and helping people, also adolescents, and how this informs and gives you a form for the music you're saying. So the question for you maybe to begin is, the journey you started was what might be called traditional, playing violin when you were 6, and you were doing classical and bluegrass and country. In your teenage years, you got into jazz at Berkeley and Boston, which is a wonderful, rich background. But then you went abroad, and things changed. And my first question that really caught me was how experiencing the world changed your whole form and intention for what you're doing.
Oh, I would say it changed my life. I was incredibly lucky to have been able to go through what they used to call the hippie trail, which was a main road in the northern part of Turkey, through Iran, through Afghanistan. But when you get into Afghanistan, you go south to Kandahar and up, because the mountains in the middle prevent a road from going across. And so you kind of do a U-shape up to Herat, down to Kandahar, up to Kabul, and then you go through the Khyber Pass. And I fell in love with Afghanistan, so I was traveling with 10 Swiss people, and they went on to India. I stayed in Afghanistan, and then later flew to Delhi and spent another 8 or 9 months there. My second day I met Anna Toso, who was a friend of a friend. I had heard of her, and then we, to this day, speak almost every other day for all these years later. Good 40 years. We've stayed friends, and we did a previous album prior to me and Bob's album. Anyway, so the point, though, is that going through all these different cultures, and when I got to India and being there for 8 or 9 months, I learned Hindi and Urdu. And then I came back and I majored in Hindi and Urdu at UC Berkeley. So being aware of, I think these days, especially in this current climate, politically, it's incredibly important. I don't want to get into political talk, but... It's
okay, you can. It's a free microphone here. It's free.
In that point, to that point, when one travels, and one is lucky enough to have traveled in the formative years, 19, 20 years old, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
You learn that everyone is really the same. It's one. We're all kind of one. And people all want the same thing. They want, they want the same. They may want different things technically, but overall they would really like to be in a happy family situation, no matter how that family is comprised, whether it's 2 women, 2 men, a man and a woman, whatever, and whether they have children or they don't. I don't have children, but it was so important when I was traveling to live with all these different families for anywhere from a month to 8 months, and to learn that the most important thing for parents, was to have their children be happy and have better chances and choices than them.
Yeah.
What's going on right now in the United States is extremely upsetting to me, because, as I imagine it is for many people, because I have actually witnessed, I don't want to get too much into this, but ICE kidnapping people off the street and taking them. It just happened to me 3 days ago, where I was on the street and a truck pulled over and started grabbing people off of a bus stop without even. It was bad.
Wow.
So, this situation is getting desperate. And what's concerning me is that there are many, many, many people who are trying to stop this.
Yeah, that's true.
Extreme actions. And if you've traveled, and, I think me and Bob's music was so important to us because it like the Dead, the Grateful Dead, that they just played here August 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, Dead and Company, Bob Weir.
Right.
And it brings everyone together and everyone in. And I live right across from Golden Gate Park, half a block. And so, every night I'd hear the music and I'd see, 10, 20, 30,000 people. And everyone, whether they were 15 years old or 70 years old, was coming together and enjoying each other's company. And that's so important. And I think music is a way, without having to use words, of bringing people together. And that was our designated goal, in a way, of this conversation between me and Bob, was to bring people together through music that could be calming and at the same time joyous, and bring people together. Because once you get to know people from other cultures, all of the external trappings fall away, and they are just people. And they all want to be healthy and happy and love other people and have friends. And, this business about taking people and throwing them out of the country for no reason. People have lived here for 20 to 40 years and either have a green card and are legal, or if the people that kidnap them say they don't, still they need habeas corpus and the right to go to a court and the right to explain why they had to leave their country. I've worked for years in court cases. I've done 4,600 assessments over the last 20 years as a neuropsychologist, and I have worked with, I did a case with the one of the secret services, the FBI and the government, where some kids 16 kids from Central American Mexico had been threatened and forced into gangs, and they escaped. They did not want to be in a gang.
Right.
They came here. They were caught, put in the deportation center. Then they were abused in that deportation center. And so I tested all of them in Spanish. And we discovered that they had been extremely traumatized. They were all given American citizenship. Of course, needless to say, this was in the time between the two Trump presidencies. It was not during the Trump presidency, of course, because then it wouldn't have happened, and the outcome would not have been the same. And these people, I've followed them up, have become incredibly giving, citizenry of this country. They work very hard. They pay their taxes. They help other people. And to go in and, take people who are helping bring us our food or, anything from that to being doctors. I mean, the whole spectrum of different jobs, people that are just wonderful people, is so confounding. And Alice, through the looking glass, nothing makes sense anymore. And I feel that the music is a way to cut through all of that mess and bring a type of joy as much as possible to the present situation. But I think it's going to take that and a lot more to be able to turn this around, because things are getting incredibly extreme right now.
That's true, and that's, I appreciate you raising those points because that informs the other side of your work is helping people to serve their needs as well as being a creative musician. And in case you've joined us, by the way, we're talking with Patti Weiss. She and Bob Rayla have put together this recording, Acoustic Conversations, that are marvelous improvisations, really. They're either originals. One of them is based on Satie. There's a beautiful Bill Evans tune. But one thing I wanted to ask you while we had some time about the music itself, and I asked Bob the same question. Sometimes people think about duets as people take turns. Somebody does a few bars or they do some structure and then they pass it to their partner and then they take over. And when I heard your record, it seems like you're two trains on two tracks at the same time, moving simultaneously, exchanging all the time. And I heard it in many tunes. Can you talk about how that flows and that's not just a duet back and forth?
Yeah, exactly. Bob will start playing, and we had previously played in a group together in 1995 to 1998. I think Bob was there for the first year.
Mm-hmm.
That was, the Blues for Allah band with Joe Gallant.
Right.
And we played in that band. That's how I knew Bob. And then when the pandemic started, I got hold of him, and we lived 8 blocks apart, so we practiced every other week for 4 years and then put out this album. And so what you're describing is when we first met, we went to the park for our first meeting in 10 or 20 years, and then we talked for 5 hours. And then when we went into his home and his studio, we played, and you're right, it wasn't like taking turns, even as a verbal conversation taking turns. It was together, like he would play, and I would layer on the top, middle, or bottom, and kind of flow in and out, almost like putting 2 pieces of cloth together, taking a needle and sewing up and down in through the cloth, because I felt that without needing words, that words can always be misinterpreted, as we're seeing at the present time in many levels. Take that away. Just take the music and have the music flow together as one. If we could do that, it would be so helpful in so many levels. And like you said, Bob would start a piece and I would kind of start to layer on it, and then we'd kind of wind around together without taking turns per se.
And musically, many genres are mashed together. I hear the blues, I hear indigenous music from North America, I hear some tunings from Eastern Europe sometimes. I'm not sure if that's correct, but I hear all...
My dad's from Hungary, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Well, I've been listening. But
it's very much.
But it's the fusion of the cultural things, and the songs are really nice. Could you talk about why you decided to do something with Erik Satie? He's someone that folks always connect to interesting emotions.
Yeah, I lived for a year in Paris, and to this day, my parents met in France. And then Bob has traveled so much. He traveled with the Dead and Stevie Wonder before that, and he traveled so much, and he has so many different cultural points of reference, and we both loved Satie. And Satie feels like kind of almost a heavenly type of music that is so calming and beautiful. Gymnopédies, I played that countless times on the violin with the string quartets, with orchestras, but with violin and piano, we loved the themes of Satie. And so it was Bob's idea, actually, originally, to take a theme from Satie, and then I just loved that. And so we just that was so easy to flow together, kind of like a river of beautiful gymnopédies, beautiful melodies.
And maybe for our last comment, I just mentioned it briefly, is the Bill Evans Peace. That's a slow tune, but boy, it really holds you. It captures you. How did that one feel as a duet, as a partnership?
Really amazing. I worked also with Peter Barchet, who was Bill Evans' bass player for many years. I still work with him. And so I adore Bill Evans, and so does Bob. And so Peace again felt like just this bursting out from the heart of beauty and kindness. I think that's the word of the day.
Yeah.
Kindness towards others, kindness to self. If the culture could start to go in that direction instead of the direction it's going now, and if our music could in any way help people to think even for a moment of people being together and being understanding and comprehending each other, but also having a joy of being together. And there is no difference between people. You know, we are all the same. Hopefully that's the ideal. But 99% of people I met all over the world in all these different countries, as well as Bob, you know, we would say that all the people we met, we were able to connect with because there's always something in common. And I just would hope that the music that we put out would help to push people towards that sameness and away from this extreme difference and hatred that's going on right now.
Maybe one last thing, Patti, before we close for now is how could people best follow your work in the future? And we'll try to get you and Bob back here next year with the next project. It'd be nice to continue our chat.
Yeah, we're working on another project, and we're playing at Flower Piano. That's a big festival in Golden Gate Park on September 12th from 1 to 2 p.m. in the New Zealand Gardens in Stribing Arboretum. That's a big festival that started 10 years ago. It's gotten much, much, much bigger. There's about anywhere from 2,000 to 8,000 people a day now, and that's our next public performance on September 12th in San Francisco at Golden Gate Park. But it will be, I think, on video and YouTube also. And so we'll be performing with a percussionist also.
Well, Patti Weiss, thank you very much for sharing some time and the spirit and your good music with us today. I wish you the best.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Take care now. Be well.